What's going on, y'all? So, if I were running a CPA firm today, or any small business, 1 to 10 employees, maybe tax season just ended, here's the exact 90-day AI rollout that I would do. So, I'm going to walk you guys through every single tool setup, setting up Claude, setting up that environment, every setup decision, and every workflow that I'd probably focus on building first. By the end of this, you'll have a roadmap. It's not going to be theory. I'm going to be using real live Gmail accounts and connectors. So let's get into it. As you know, I build most things with Claude, and there's three reasons. It's really better for office work than other existing AI models, and you guys already know that. But also, there's deeper finance content online, so you can go, you can find out. Different creators are building in this space, and they'll give you examples on things that you can replicate easily. There's also a variety of different environments within Claude. So you have Claude AI, Claude Cowork, Claude Code. There's so many ways, and even Claude Managed Agents. There's so many ways that you can actually build out your environment and your ecosystem. So you have a lot of optionality as well there. And the large context window is great compared to other AI tooling. Perplexity is great. OpenAI is great. Maybe if this finds success, I'll do a session on those two tools, which I also like, and I'm not gonna rag on them here, except Google. Google's kind of tough, but it's definitely getting better. Let's get into it. So here is the pricing page. I guess by now most of you probably already know what this looks like. But basically, if you're solo or if you just want to test it out, really pro at $17-20 a month if you do monthly, that's easy. Get it done, honestly. And then once you start hitting usage limits, then upgrade to max. The 100 a month is a great value, but of course you can upgrade here to the 20x, which is $200 a month. That's going to be for like really hard code users. If you have a team, even if it's like 2 or 3 people, honestly, just upgrade to the team account. It's it's worth it. You guys can basically, it gives you shared projects. It gives you admin controls, and then you also have Microsoft 365 integration, which just recently rolled out. So you can integrate to Outlook, to your calendar, OneDrive, all of that. They all connect. So definitely a very much worthwhile investment, and you could start off with having just one premium seat for yourself, and then the rest of your team can have standard seats. Or if you start seeing some power users, it's definitely worth the investment. So you can start off here. Definitely start off with the Teams account. This is for people with organizations of 5 to 150. Enterprise, honestly, it's really just overkill. It's irrelevant until you're 50 plus employees. So I would just ignore it for most people who are here. Cool. So now here we are in a Teams environment. Obviously, if you have other team members, you'll want to go ahead and invite them as well. And of course, you can only invite people who have the same email domain address as yourself. And then you can give them a role. You can give them a user, admin, or owner role as well, if it makes sense. That's some background on that. Here's probably the most important thing that you'll get from this whole video. You want to download the app. So you'll want to be on the actual Claude desktop app. You have to go, if you're on Microsoft, go to Microsoft Suite or just go to Claude.ai, download app, and you'll be able to download that. And same thing with Mac. You'll be able to, find it online and download it. You could literally type in download Claude app. Easy. Download for Windows, download for Mac OS. Get those installed, because the online version is just, it's not enough. It's basically not enough. Like it won't get you to where you want to go. With the app, you have chat, you have cowork, and you have code. So you have 3 instances of Claude there that you can leverage. With the online app, you don't have any of the, like, you have one, right? You have like the chat interface, and that's pretty much it. You can build some projects, you can build some artifacts, maybe a little code if you like connect your GitHub, and if you're technical and you can kind of work online, it gives you that opportunity. But for the most part, the app is where you really want to be. So we'll close that, and then we'll be using our app here. Try to ensure that you have the latest model, of course. And maybe one thing for everyone who is just trying things out early on, and you have the individual accounts, you should be prompted really early on to accept training, the training of your data, obviously you want to turn that off. And if you don't know how to do that, if you accidentally miss that first step, then you can always go to settings. And I don't know if this one will have it, because this is a Teams account. Naturally, team accounts and enterprise accounts don't train on your data by default. So I actually don't think we'll have the ability to be able to make that change.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we have it here. But basically, when you have an individual account, you should be able to turn that off inside your settings and under your account, or under general. It should be somewhere here. It'll be easy to see. But anyway, that's that. Obviously, with the Teams account, we don't have that. We don't have that option. They're not training on our data, allegedly. Yeah, this is what most people see. Again, you have chat, you have cowork, and you have code. And this little sidebar can come in and out, right? Like as you need it. If you want to just hover over that, then you can do that. And of course, over on the right hand side, you have an incognito chat. Basically, incognito chats aren't saved to your history. But yeah, keep in mind if you're using a team account or an enterprise somewhere account for some reason, every chat history is visible to your admin. So remain professional in this environment, even if you're very frustrated or annoyed. Yeah, just remain professional. Be nice to the robots. Don't say anything and don't gossip about something that you might regret later. That's just a heads up. I know sometimes we tend to trust these models for very personal things, but keep in mind if you're using those team accounts, those enterprise accounts, your admin can see what you're saying. Don't say anything. Don't say anything you're not supposed to say. So for chat, I'll just kind of break down what they do. Chat. What most people say. This is what most people mean when they say, "Oh yeah, like I use AI." It's just a conversational interface. It's great for quick questions, great for research, great for drafting simple things, very simple artifacts, which we'll get into artifacts, basically like a tooling, a visual, like a web page, essentially. You'll probably use this maybe 50% of the time as you're kind of like going through different instances and use cases. Cowork, this is a much more robust engine here. So this is on the back end, the same engine as Claude Code, but it has a pretty face. It has a user interface. You can build presentations, financial models. You can have full analysis without ever touching the terminal, which I'll show you the terminal here in a bit. But basically, the terminal is a big black box that's a little scary and looks like you're living in 1984, 19 whatever. So this is really where most small firm owners should live, in the cowork section. You're able to get a lot of work done. This thing's able to work off your files, whether it's like your desktop. It has a much more higher context. So for example, on that online interface, you can't upload a PDF with like 100 different pages. But if you download the app and you go on cowork, you can do that. You can work off of those much larger PDFs. You have a much larger context window. And so it's just your capabilities are so much higher. Again, this is full Claude Code. It's powerful. The terminal can be intimidating. This is actually yeah, this is even it gets a little confusing because you can actually run Claude Code in your terminal or you can run it here. I'll show you an example of what I mean when I say terminal. So here's the folder that we have. We can hit right click, new terminal app folder, and something like this will come up. Something like that. And then you can hit Claude, and boom, there you go. Now you have your terminal. This is when people are sharing a bunch of videos about like, hey, look what Cloud Code can do. Look at all these, websites and web development and, just kind of all sorts of things and creative items that people create with software. This is generally where they're building inside Cloud Code. So this environment lives on your terminal, which is literally your computer. It's like your computer. They call it a terminal. I don't know why. It's the terminal of your computer. But you also have it here. This one is the same thing. You can obviously select your folder. You can go local. You can pick a different folder of where you want to work in, things of that nature. And yeah, this is Cloud Code for you, basically. Just obviously it has a bit of a prettier face here. Um, cool. So hammer versus screwdriver, right? You want to be able to use the right tool for the right job. ChatGPT is going to be done for quick things. Coworker is going to actually build cowork is actually going to build things for you. It's going to do some deep analysis, go into files, build out workflows, build out scheduled tasks. We'll walk through a couple things. I'll literally walk through some things right now. And then code is going to be really for power users, people who are like deep in the weeds, like really like high agency individuals who really want to build as much as possible and build things as robustly as possible. Maybe important thing here is like when we're talking about usage, because I know that topic came up earlier, and you can see your usage on here. Basically, here in settings and usage, you can track your team usage across everyone, and then as you add more and more team members, you'll be able to see where like what people's usage limit is, and kind of where they're at, essentially. When people say usage, basically a token, because when you go online, you'll see like, oh, this amount of tokens per month and this amount of tokens per day, whatever. A token is roughly 0.75 of a word. So it's about 4 characters. It's not exactly one word. And your standard context window is like here, like this environment. You have about 200,000 tokens that you can upload. Obviously, you get more capabilities with co-work and code, but generally, like chat, 200,000 tokens. The 1 million token window is available on Max, on Team, and on Enterprise. Um, for the latest Opus model. I think it's like beyond Opus 4.6, but it's not the default for everyone. So just keep that in mind. Like if you're coming across issues where you can upload a really massive PDF file or Excel file, but your partner can't, it's likely that you guys are on different tiers of usage. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, right now, Claude doesn't know anything about your business. The context is literally empty. This is like a brand new hire. You know everything about your business. Your coworkers know things about your business, but Claude doesn't. He just joined the team, and he's a really smart guy. He's got like a PhD in everything basically. But you know, he doesn't know that you like a certain style, or that you build financial models a certain way, or your workflows are set up a certain way, or that Nikki and John are dating, so you can't bring up certain things about one or the other, right? That sort of stuff. It doesn't have that context right now, so you have to build out that context. And so out of the box, Claude is brilliant, but it's useless to you. It knows physics, it knows code, it doesn't know your clients, your inbox, or your engagement letters. Connectors are how you ramp up very quickly. Similar, again, as I said, to like bringing in a new hire. You give them access to different tooling first, and then they start getting smart. They start exploring and getting used to what you need. So let's walk through. I'm on the Gmail suite, so I'm not going to walk through onboarding Microsoft 365, but this works. It does work now. If you want help setting that up, like go ahead and reach out to me. I'll help you get that set up. But it shouldn't be a big ask. It's really set up the exact same way. So what you'll do is you go to connectors, you go to add connector, and then here you can just type in Microsoft 365. Boom, there you go. You can go ahead and connect directly into that tooling here. And for us, we're on Gmail, so we're gonna go to Gmail. We'll add this. And then we'll also add our calendar. So obviously we're not connected yet, but we'll add calendar. Let me see. Browse connectors. Go to calendar. Add that. And those will be the two that we add for now. So once you click on that, you'll be prompted to log in. So we'll log in. And it's very simple. You literally just click through it. Say yeah, continue, and then it'll prompt you to reopen Claude. We're already connected, so let's just cancel this for now. And because I don't want to reopen it for the same thing again. So we'll go to our calendar now. Same setup. Continue, continue, and then this time we'll open it back up. That way both can load up at the same time, and we're good. So we are all set to go. Those two things are connected now. So, if you're on Google Drive, we can connect that too. This will help Claude understand more about your business again. So, Google Drive. Let's see here. On that. Go to connectors, manage connectors here. Same setup. Yeah. Continue. Open Claude again. And then, of course, if you're on QuickBooks, you can go ahead and do that now as well, too. So browse connectors, go to QuickBooks, pick your company. I have a video on that. If you need help, reach out. I can set that up for you. Slack, if you're on Slack, we don't use Slack, but if you're on that, you can set that up as well. Notion, you can set up Notion. Basically go through these, and whatever you need connected, you don't have to do them all at once, but at least get a general feel as to like what you can connect and what you can do. Yeah, I guess I hit that button there, but basically, it'll prompt you every once in a while as to like, hey, like what what could you potentially need help with right now? What's going on? Like what does your environment look like right now? And it'll start looking at like your history, your memory, and things that you like doing. And obviously here we're like, hey, like what kind of work do you do? What are you working on? So let's say founder. And it'll start asking you, what connectors you could potentially benefit from. So that's a pretty neat thing. They're doing a much better and better job as to like, helping you out on that front. Right. So this thing is still kind of working. It's probably just going through sessions and understanding what I do, how I do things, that sort of stuff. This is a Teams account. It's a fresh Teams account, so there's some migration kind of going on here probably. But let's start off with schedule tasks. I think here this is a lot of people can benefit from this because I've heard just like an insane amount of people tell me that they spend 2 hours every single morning just tracking down emails that they haven't replied to, figuring out, hey, like, what do I need to do today? And you can be as organized as possible, but nevertheless, these things will still come up. Like you'll still forget things. And, maybe sometimes you have like a bunch of like just sticky notes flying everywhere, or maybe some people have figured it out and you're actually using Notion. Whatever your setup is, a ton of people have benefited from this one task that I'm going to work through today. So what we'll do is we'll go over to Cowork and then we'll click on scheduled. Scheduled tasks only run while your computer is awake. So if your computer does, fall asleep or idles, then it's not going to work. So we'll start a new task and let's set it up manually. And we'll call this, literally daily briefing. And then summary of overnight and daily activity. And then I already have a prompt. So we will literally just drop that in. We'll say, hey, summarize my calendar and inbox for today. Tell me emails that 3 days or older I haven't replied to, top 3 priorities, any client meetings I need prep, and any deadlines I might be missing. Client emails I might have missed. Sure, we can keep it under 200 words, and we can just use the default manual, and then we can set it up to where it's like weekdays every day at 9:05 a.m. And then we'll hit save. And then, obviously we want to test it out. So let's just go over to it, and then we'll just run it right now. We'll go over here, and as you can see, it's just it's running its scheduled task. It's got like a progress bar over on the far right, and it's checking my calendar, it's checking my email. Obviously, if I had more tooling connected like Slack or pick your tool of choice, if all of those were connected, then it would read through all of those. And I've seen some pretty incredible things at large organizations, like things that would literally slip through the cracks get caught with this tool. It's mostly going to look at public forums. It's not going to look at individual ones, unless you're the one running it. Like, for example, if Jonathan and Marcy are having a private Slack conversation, it's not going to tell you what's going on there. But if Jonathan and Marcy are having a public conversation inside a forum, inside like a Slack channel, or if there's emails that you were copied on, this will capture that, and it'll tell you kind of more or less what's going on. So very neat thing. Or if you guys are working off Notion or a Google Drive and someone shares that with you, it'll catch that as well. For many leaders, like, this is like, hey, I'm making my money back immediately in like a week, just from having this sort of tooling and setup. So yeah, so as you can see, there's someone who, obviously I shared these with to myself, like I set these up, right? But if you have a email someone saying like, hey, well, Inc. onboarding, they tell you, what's kind of going on, like, that's myself obviously. But someone emailed me and was like, hey, I'm ready to go, like, let's go ahead and do something. And obviously it has other deals that I have going on as well, and some missed touch points as well. So that's a high level summary. There's obviously, you can go as deeply as you want on this. You can say, hey, like, what's my pipeline looking like, and have connectors tied up to that. So really just, the world is your oyster with this thing. There's a couple. So we'll just hit continue here, and we'll kind of keep on churning through. So yeah. So probably one cool thing is, once you have all your tools connected, you can really turn this into a huge machine that really kind of operates for your whole business and not just for one thing. So that's definitely a massive benefit that you have. And we kind of briefly talked about it, but I'll show you some examples here right now. So probably one thing that a lot of people deal with often is reporting. So what you can actually do is you can set up we talked a little bit earlier about like scheduled tasks. Something even more exciting is that you can set up a scheduled task that doesn't just summarize your day. Like, there's a ton of performance tools out there, like tools to help you manage your time better and tools to help you manage your business better. But I think this one, going from managing to actually doing is a big gap that not a whole lot of people show. So today we're going to do that. So usually monthly close is, I'll pull up this folder here. Monthly close is, pulling in one Excel file, like, extrapolating data from QuickBooks. And then oftentimes you're like remapping things, recategorizing things, putting together some like variance to forecast, putting together, the raw data files, ensuring that things are adding up on a annual basis to what you're reporting, double checking all of that, putting together graphs, putting together a presentation as well that goes along with that. All that sort of stuff are things that we manually normally do. And as you can see here, I already have a file set up that has all that data here. Basically, if you were to already connect your Claude to QuickBooks, then you wouldn't even have to worry so much about getting your data set up. We're not going to do that for this specific situation. Really, we have all the files ready for us to go here. So why don't we just kind of jump in? So the first thing that we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about what markdown files are. So markdown files are basically instructions, just honestly text documents. They're really just text documents and they have data inside them. So when you think about markdown files, what you should think about really is instructions, directions. That's really all it is. They're instructions and directions. And the reason why they're important is because this is basically how you communicate with Claude, how you give it instructions, and how you format things. So markdown files can have a bunch of different information. Like this one tells it, a step-by-step process on how to get something. You can think about these things as, let's say you're trying to go from a McDonald's or let's say you're trying to go to a McDonald's, just in general. And you tell the bot, hey, I want to go to McDonald's. I want to get a Big Mac and some fries. That's it. That's all you tell it. So it doesn't know where it's at to begin with. It could say, okay, cool, there's a McDonald's in London right down the street. Let me go ahead and place an order and we'll get you something. And by the time you get there, you can pick it up. But the problem with that is let's say you're in New York City, so far away from London. And, it just doesn't make sense for you to order something at that McDonald's. Really, what markdown files are the roadmap. They're the instructions. They give your computer context. We talked about context earlier. They give it context about like where you're currently sitting, where you want to get to, how you want to get there, why you want to get there, what you're wearing that day, what kind of order you want to get, what size of the order, in what specific way do you want to order? Like, is it for your family? Do you have like 3 or 4 kids? Does your eldest order first and then it goes, from age? Does your wife order first? All that sort of stuff. All of that context is basically buried into these markdown files. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. And I know this looks like code, this looks overwhelming, but the reality is that you can actually have Claude build markdown files for you by just communicating with it. And a great hack that I have figured out in the past is what you want to think about when you're building these things, these workflows, these processes, these agents, is that you want to think about outcomes and how you want things done, and you want to give it examples. And they say you want to be able to, you gotta crawl before you can run. You gotta crawl, walk, and run. Like that's kind of the step process, right? So crawling and walking is really just it's like scheduling a new conversation. So for example, we can start a new project here, and we'll just call it we'll just use an existing folder because we have one. But normally you can start with a brand new folder on your desktop from scratch, nothing in there, and you can tell it, hey, this is an Excel file. Here's some data sets. Here's some information about my business. So like, here's some screenshots of my logo. Here's, some other items that you have readily accessible for you. So for example, like if you have your color scheme, if you have any marketing presentations, you can feed all of that into your project, and you'll start giving it a ton of context. And then from there, you can build a workflow and say, okay, let me explain to you the situation here. Like every single month, I am rolling forward actuals and I'm comparing to my forecast or to my budget, right? Once it understands what outcome you want to get, and you can give it an example. You're like, normally my presentations look like this. This is the color scheme. This is the setup. I want a dashboard to go along with this. Like this is my current dashboard. This is what it looks like. What can we improve upon this? You start kind of like having that conversation with it. And what you'll notice is that once you're kind of done at the end of something and you've gotten to a place where you want to get to, you can say, okay, cool. Now, based on everything we talked about, build a skill on this. And that's like such an easy way to just build skills over and over again and start refining them. So here we go. This is the folder we wanted to get to, FP&A. Same folder I had open up on the desktop. We'll just call it financial reporting. Demo. We don't really need instructions right now. Everything is already in there. So we'll get it comfortable. Take a look at this folder and get comfortable with the files and instructions. That's it. We already have this set up, so it's a little bit easier. But normally, if you had nothing set up, you would start feeding it some of these things. So I'll open up this presentation. Yeah, cool. This is my PowerPoint presentation. You know, if you have a different one and you really like the setup of your existing PowerPoint presentation, just drop that in, honestly. Here, I'll give you an example. Like, let's say we were using McDonald's in the past. Let's go to McDonald's investor report. Maybe quarterly results. I think I should be fine. That looks really ugly. I want the actual presentation. Maybe this one here. Financial outlook. Maybe this one. Oh, I think this one's really good. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, the investor outlook. Okay, cool. This is perfect actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change. So what we're gonna do is cool. So we'll close out of these, and what we want to do is drop in this investor presentation and change the color scheme, basically, of our skill. And it's actually a pretty simple process. I don't know if you guys saw earlier, but maybe this has it. Does it have color scheme? Let's see. No, this doesn't have a color scheme in here. But if we go to our folder and we go to that markdown file, down here, here, we have some color scheme. So we basically tell it what colors we want in this markdown file. So we are going to drop in this presentation here. Again, this is living on my desktop folder. And then, as I mentioned, scripts, recalc. There's no scripts in the directory. Oh, maybe some of the scripts are not in there. Recalc? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's just it'll flag some stuff for you. Cool. So why don't we do a version 9? Well, maybe something that I forgot to show you guys briefly. I showed you the Excel file. I showed you the presentation, but I didn't show you the actual dashboard. That's not it. Where is my dashboard? Should be like, technically this is my dashboard, but why don't we ask it? If you're ever confused on something, you know, technical, like a React dashboard or like something visual that you don't know how to load up on your computer, for example, this is a JSX file. For example, here's a file that basically has our dashboard information. Basically what we can do is like, help me run the, let's do this. Help me run the variance dashboard so that I can visualize it. Just that simple. Cool. So while that's running, let's go ahead and create a version 10 of this. So we'll go here. So we have version 10 now. We versioned up basically. And let's say we have some new revenue line items. So let's say we have, a new revenue line item. We'll call it drainage system. Well, let's say this is a big one, say 50K. And then we also have an expense line item. So we'll add that, and we'll call this drainage system cogs. And yeah, 25, let's say, you know, separate it out a bit, 27K. So let's say we did forecast something. So we added, of course, we should roll this forward. Let's make 0 here, 0 here, and let's say we had a forecast also here for December. And let's say we did have new line items here for, where is that under Compass? I don't even think we have anything under Compass. Cool. Let's say we forecasted 20. Let's say over in expenses. Say we forecasted, 15, something along those lines. Cool. So we have a version 10 with December actuals now and December forecast. Great. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and save this down. So we have new actuals now. Really the only difference is drainage system and drainage cogs in our forecast, as well as our actuals. So this is normally the process that we're used to doing, right? And again, we're gonna have a new color scheme. It'll be the McDonald's color scheme. We basically want this color scheme to be used moving forward. And then let's say instead of telling it to run our monthly process, that's how you kind of start this process up. Let's see. Try to flip it to all periods if you want to export this. Because so basically we want an HTML file that we can actually visualize from our JavaScript file. A lot of terminology here, but normally, if you're not comfortable understanding what these file extensions are, basically you can tell it something super simple like, hey, I just want to be able to visualize this tool. How can I open this up in my browser so that I can see it? That's simple, and it'll do it for you. That's how easy these tools are to use. It's really a matter of like telling it what you want. Cool. So why don't we give it McDonald's color palette on here? So while this is working, let's update our skill. Let's go to, I'll show you guys how to update a skill while this is kind of doing its own thing. And probably one of my favorite things about co-work versus chat is that with co-work, you have a model working underneath where, you can have a bunch of different instances of co-work running at once. Whereas with chat, you can normally only have one instance running at once. Then if you wanted to start a new chat, then it gets a little funky. The UI gets really weird. Like it almost seems like you can't run a bunch of different chats at the same time and they're all kind of like researching and doing something for you. That works better when you're inside the co-work environment. So this looks like it's done. So let's open this up. Great. Yeah, exactly what I was looking for. It's literally it's a dashboard that you can visualize in HTML in the right file format, basically. So it'll have all the summaries, the breakdown, actual versus forecast waterfall. It'll have some graphs, some visuals, your, highest expense breakdown, your variance on your P&L categories, revenue, COGS, OPEX, all that sort of stuff. All the important things that our CFOs care about. It's even got a date for us here, so that's kind of nice. Today's not March 3rd, but it doesn't do really well at telling time. It's really, really bad at telling time. I will say that. Like it's pretty bad. Just keep that in mind. So anyway, okay, cool. So this is fine. That was pretty quick, but why don't we have another one running at the same time? Like, why don't we update the actual skill? The skill again is your workflow. Agent, skill, workflow. They're kind of interchangeable. They're different in different instances, but conceptually they're kind of the same thing in a way. So your skill is what helps your agent get updated. Basically, your agent runs your skill. Just keep that in mind. So the skill is the roadmap. The agent is the actual computer, running your workflow, but together your skill and your agent are your workflow. So I guess that's a good way to separate it. There we go. You got your answer. Cool. So we dropped in, let's rename this. So we have this, right? This is our file. This was McDonald's financial outlook. So we'll grab McDonald's financial outlook and we'll drop it in here. We'll say something along the lines of see notes below on McDonald's color palette. I don't know how to spell. Is it T? Yeah, I think that's right. I want to ensure that the color scheme in our skills in this project folder match the color scheme below. Additionally, attached is a example presentation, and I want our presentations moving forward to have this same style. Cool. So we'll give it that task. And of course, everything that I dropped here is just the color scheme for McDonald's. So it'll be working on that. Well, I guess as you guys can see, we have an instance of Claude Cowork running right now here. It's doing a bunch of work. And then over here, where we have a separate file, we can tell it to give us some research. Like, can you do some basic research on, we'll call it the landscaping market for Q1 2026. Just a one-pager report is good enough. Cool. This is really just to show you guys that you can have multiple Cowork instances kind of running at the same time. Whereas if you're in the chat interface, you're gonna have a lot more challenges, having to run multiple chats at the same time, and they're not all going to be able to communicate with one another or be working within the same information all the time. So that's why projects are so crucial. Though you can have, different projects in the chat instance, but again, yeah, it's like you can't have them all running at the same time, unless not on your own account, but your team can. If you have other people, they can be running their own conversations and you'll be running your own conversation. But again, you're basically capped out at one. Whereas with Cowork, you can run as many of these as you want. So which file should I update and apply the McDonald's color style system? So we'll say this. Yeah, like all of that basically. Favorable and unfavorable, we'll keep that. Which color should I use? The official one sounds good. Cool. So there's probably some discrepancies on the color scheme itself. So yeah, we're obviously, it'll ask whenever it's confused on something and it wants a little bit more clarity, it can ask you that information. Here we'll cancel this, honestly. Like, I don't think we don't even need this information. I just wanted to show you guys that that you can run different agents at the same time. I don't really want to waste compute or tokens doing something that's not very helpful. Great. So that is that, and we'll pull this up for now. You can kind of see what it's doing here. In the meantime, I will show you guys. But I mean, we can look at usage for now. Usage is something that's huge in this space. If you're building any sort of visuals within Claude, so if you're building artifacts in the chat interface, what you'll notice is that you'll keep hitting usage limits. But if you move that over to Cowork or to Claude Code, then you'll use probably about 1/10 for the same output. It's like one of the biggest gotchas that I see with new users. It's crazy, and the reason why, because of this. I'd searched it before, but I figured I'd search it for you again. Yeah, usage rates are significantly higher in regular chats or artifacts compared to Cloud Code because of how interfaces manage context, tools, and background processing. You can read through this. I mean, you can pause the video and look through this, but ultimately, the key takeaway is if you're building any sort of code, any sort of visual, use Cowork or use Claude Code and then migrate that over into a chat or into a project. Again, using the right tool for the right job. So this is doing well. Oh, right. Maybe with that setting, if you had additional users, you could see how other users are where they're at right now. So obviously, this one's a solo account. It's a Teams account, but I haven't added anyone else here. It's a new account, so we don't have that. We don't have that on here yet. Cool. So maybe while this is fixing this, and we're gonna jump around a little bit. Let's start a fresh folder here. So let's work in a project folder, and then we'll go to 90-minute video. Um, yeah. So this time around, we're in a different folder. Um, Again, still working off of Cowork, and inside this folder, um, we have a couple different files. So basically, the thought process here is every single time you get a new customer or a new prospect, you have to create a new statement of work, a custom, services agreement, custom pricing, maybe hours per proposal. You have to create a new proposal every single time. And so that takes time. And really, you can do this a few different ways, but I'll show you a really quick way to do this. Ideally, in a perfect world, you can build a workflow. So you can build a skill that pulls discovery call notes and then looks at your standard rate card and then looks at your existing services agreements that you've signed in the past. Then it marries all of that together and sends that proposal out in an email. That's like the perfect stage. And honestly, even you could even make it better. So if all of your tools are actually linked up and there's a bunch of Gmail conversations going back and forth, or Outlook, whatever, pick your provider. You could have it go through your mailbox, find relevant emails, find notes on what matters to the prospect. After you've transcribed calls, draft up key bullet points for you to review, and then once you approve those bullet points, push the document to DocuSign or whatever signing tool you're connected to, and then you can trigger a Stripe invoice. And if your client's set up and you have that set up already, essentially you can build a skill that will do all of that, compress all of that into a matter of minutes, as opposed to you taking multiple days to do all of that work. So that's kind of like the ideal scenario, having all your tools talk to one another, everyone know who's doing what and some of the context and background. Ultimately, that's what they want Claude to be. It's an environment, and that's what it really is. That's what Anthropic wants Claude to be for everyone, like the place to go for your everything, and then everything else just connects from it. And in many ways, it's there for a lot of people, but not enough people know about it or have taken advantage of it. So in this specific scenario, we have a proposal. I'll open up the proposal for you, and it's really just a template about some of the services that Watermelon AI offers. This is a team enablement sprint. It highlights some objectives of the team, the engagement structure, basically like what we plan to do during this engagement. How does that look like? What do the outputs and deliverables look like? How we'll get there? What happens after? Like, are there additional office hours? Then it also has boundaries. Like, this is what we're not going to cover. And it has some sort of confidentiality agreements as well. It has cost. And it has payment structures as well. So that's an example, a CSA example. And then we have also an anonymized transcript. So this is a conversation that I've anonymized, and it basically just has a bunch of background on a couple individuals that joined a call and who were interested in getting some sort of training and engagement set up, right, with Watermelon. So we'll move that over to the side, and then we will give Claude our prompt. And I have it right here. Uh, so basically, we're saying there's some context here. You know, following our recent phone call, there were some ongoing email exchanges that have surfaced a strong interest in training engagement between Juan and Breakfast Association. That's what we're calling our prospect here. And it tells we tell Claude a little bit about the counterparty. Hey, Breakfast Association, you know, this is what they do. And then we tell it a little bit more about the scope of the engagement, so where the opportunity lies. And then we tell it also about timing. Timing and time constraints are really important. You know, we don't want the training to last a full year. We don't want to give them that much flexibility because it's just people work better off, especially for AI training. Like you work better off when you just onboard everyone and get everyone going at it like as quickly as you can, and you gamify it. Because if you drag it on for like 6 months, the landscape today that we have today versus the landscape that's going to be there in 6 months is totally different, and you're just gonna have to retrain everyone down the road anyway. It's not as beneficial. So yeah, so I give it that information and it'll look through our folders and it'll get something back to us. So in the meantime, let's jump back over to some rebranding that we did. Cool. So this seems like it kind of wrapped up the color schemes, the color rebranding. So let's take a look at what this looks like. We'll allow this. Let's look at the PowerPoint presentation first. We'll see if we like it. If we can get this to open. Cool. Not bad, honestly. The golden arches aren't entirely there, but I conceptually see where they're going with it. Uh, yeah, it looks like golden circles, but maybe that's a copyright infringement action. But I think this is fine, honestly. Like for a good starting place, it's really where we want to get to. As you can see, everything is formatted with the color scheme of McDonald's. We have like our bright red and yellow, so it's pretty good. I like it, and it also took a lot of key pointers from them as to like what should I highlight, what's important, how should I format this. So we'll go with that. That's fine for now. Let me see. The markdown file. So what does it tell us? I think it has. Let's see. Let's see if it actually updated our markdown files. That's going to be important for us. Yeah, it did. Our markdown file was updated a couple minutes ago. Our dashboard was updated as well. And I think it was just okay. So it only updated the JavaScript file. The actual HTML dashboard was not updated. So let's just ask it. Let's ask it to do it on one run. That way we're kind of efficient with this. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go back here? We start off here. And this is getting a little unorganized, right? Because technically, this should not be in. Just remove this from the project. So you can remove and add things in a project. Basically, because we're talking about, well, actually, this one should be in a project. Sorry, this one should be in a project. Oh, the dashboard should be in a project also. Okay, never mind. We're good. Okay, either way, it was still helpful for you guys. Like, if there's a certain conversation where you accidentally put it in a project and it shouldn't have been, then you can always remove it and reorganize better in that sense. Cool. So why don't we say, hey, if you guys remember, we had a version 10 here. So the version 10 has new line items that we added. So say, hey, run our usual process for version 10 and output a new monthly presentation and variance dashboard in HTML with the new color scheme. Well, I guess just it'll know what color scheme, so it's fine. Cool. So that should be good. Let's run that. Great. So we have our agents just running in parallel. It seems like there's one that has a question here. Let's create a version 11. overwrite the existing HTML here for the actual visual dashboard. Now breakfast is done. Breakfast association is done. So this proposal is ready. Jumping back over here, and we'll take a look at it. And it looks pretty solid to me, to be honest. So gives me a summary as well. It's basically saying the template is now addressing Breakfast Association LLC, member engagement team, some key adaptions. It's got an investment summary that shows the fee. It gives them a credit, basically saying like, hey, if you guys move fast, we'll give you some credit there. So time to close, that helps narrow the time to close. So that's helpful. And a lot of things are also time-based also. So the timeline collapses. This just adds like a sense of urgency for these opportunities. And I think that'll really go far when you're trying to close opportunities faster, because you know what they say, like time kills deals every single day. So normally what we do, we'd like read through this, just make sure that everything is accurate, that it says what we want it to say. You definitely don't want to outsource that final check, that human in the loop piece. But once you're good with it, you can shoot it over to them. And then really, if you have a template for a services agreement, then you can upload that here as well. And then just have like signatures down here, and you'll be ready to go once that time happens. You'll be ready to go once they give you the green light, and you can ship it out quickly. So yeah, that's how simple it is. And honestly, like, just like I said earlier, like when you have these processes that you're running, you can literally tell Claude, great job. Can we build a skill for this process? I'll upload transcripts, and you'll create proposals based on both transcript and any email info you can find. Basically, so we tell it that. Food for thought here. If you ever want to improve your prompts, you can always select your prompt and say, like, go to an incognito mode, just have something fresh. And then you can literally say, can you make this prompt more concise? And probably one thing that I really like to do, I don't know if it'll work right now, but text to chat. Obviously Apple has this feature already, and I think a lot of people just spend hours and hours typing, and really once you turn this on, you can naturally, well, I don't think it'll work because we're recording. Oh, it might actually work. Let's see. Okay, great. It's working. So this is good. But yeah, you can basically just like word vomit here, and then you stop it. Once you're done word vomiting, you can delete all of this. And then in quotes, you can say, hey, can you make this prompt more concise? And it'll do that for you. And it does a really good job. That helps ensure that you're not just blasting data at it, blasting information at it, and that your conversations are getting better, and that your bot's understanding you. But yeah, cool. Auto research, that's fine. Word document is good. Yeah, rewrite it. Cool. So once you get that done, you'll literally have a skill, and then you can just add that to your work. Whether it's like a folder, whether it's a project, wherever you're working in, you can just add that skill. And over here on the right hand side, maybe just a quick, overview of what you have here. These are your skills that your project currently has. So as you add more and more skills, you'll see more and more things show up here. And then inside the project folder itself, the file folder we're working in, you have all that data set that you provided to it. And then of course you have a progress bar here on items that are, as Anthropic is, as Claude, is thinking through how to get your request done. It'll have a bullet point of like to-dos essentially. And you can comment on it or recommend a change on anything you see, might need to be updated. So there's that. Let's see how this is going. This is still working, so we're good on that. Yeah, as you're waiting for things to be done here, your agents are running. I mean, you can go do some admin work that you haven't automated, like one-off things, or you can go do some research, just general stuff. That's what I'm doing on a second screen. So, yeah, maybe we'll play some music while this is working. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, cool. So this skill's done, and it basically gives you an overview as to like what's in this skill. So, I mean, you guys can read through that essentially, and then you just install that skill into your computer. So let's just do save skill or into your environment. And once that's set up, then it'll always be available to you. The way that you run these is that you can literally say, "Hey, can you run the watermelon proposal skill?" Or you can forward slash and hit watermelon proposal, and all your skills show up that way, um, essentially. So yeah, that is how you run a skill, build a skill, and then use it to give you leverage on everyday tasks. So yeah, that's an overview of that. Let's see how our other skill is doing here. It seems like it's getting pretty close. It's already updated a version 11 on the Excel file. It's building the HTML dashboard right now. That's the online dashboard essentially, and then it is putting together the presentation right now. So that's where it's at right now. Let's see how much longer it's got to go. Hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, great. So this is done. And it seems like it did a pretty good job at just kind of running through our it seems like I did a good job just kind of running through our materials. So all three deliverables are done. It added new drainage system lines, revenue and cogs. They're wired. There's obviously there's the spreadsheet. There's the visual online dashboard that we have, and then there's the presentation as well. So let's look at the dashboard real quick. That's pretty nice. That looks very much like McDonald's colors. We have our forecast to actual waterfall here. We probably do need a, well, I guess you don't necessarily need to call it a waterfall if you can clearly tell it's a waterfall. But yeah, pretty dynamic here. It's got some nice visuals here, and like as you hover over items, you get more details. So love it, love it, love it, love it. You can switch things around like that, like I just did. So yeah, this is great. This looks incredible, honestly. Let's close out of that. Let's look at the Excel file. And Excel file looks fine. Yeah, it looks pretty good. These graphs are not, I mean, they could use some tweaking here. But I think to begin with, most of the graphs were not, super well organized. But yeah, but these are the graphs that I put together, and you can directly copy and paste these into a PowerPoint presentation. But you shouldn't need to, given that we have a presentation already built for us. And of course, these are all pulling from our data set down here. And if we trace this back, well, that plugin is not working. But if we trace this back, then we can tell that everything is being pulled from here, right? So we have our December variance. Of course, we have like monthly, year to date. They should be the same number. Well, I guess not really. Monthly will be different than year to date because year to date is consolidated. Everything consolidated. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll provide this. You guys can take a look, but we have a bunch of checks down here. Checks are super important. They're key. Like they're so important within finance. If you've ever worked within investment banking or any finance role, you've made mistakes in the past and you've gotten burned by them, and you've learned to build all these redundancy checks to ensure that, for example, all your monthly line totals equal your annual numbers. Make sure you're not missing any rows, columns. Make sure you're not including a specific cell for some reason. That's why they're important. And they also just help you spot check work. But that would be our Excel output. This is just our raw data that we already have there. So we'll close out of this. And then this is our old version 10. So we'll close out of that. But we'll go and we'll look at our PowerPoint presentation. We'll open that in PowerPoint. And it looks pretty nice, actually. This looks like something inappropriate, but let's see what this has. Yeah. Cool. So, all of our numbers are updated. You can cross-reference this. Your job now would be to cross-reference and check and make sure that everything that's in your Excel files ties to your PowerPoint deck, but it should. Um, and then obviously we have more graphs, visuals, that sort of stuff here as well. So again, your job would be to cross-check, double-check, make sure nothing is incorrect there. But yeah, but that's essentially a skill that we've built out. We had something to start with. We didn't start from scratch here, but essentially you conceptually understand how to build skills, how to update them, and how to work with them and how to get outputs from them. So maybe we cover what you shouldn't update. Some things that you don't want to update are sign-offs. Signing off on tax returns, financial statements, client deliverables. You don't want to update that. Like, sign-offs are all about you. Like, again, I think that speaks for itself, right? You need a licensed person signing off on things. Client relationships. You don't really want to update or automate too much of client relationships. Like, ultimately, people pay to talk to a person, and customer support just can't. It shouldn't be automated, because it's just better to talk to a human being. Anything that's heavy PII, maybe something that's like IRS facing. You want to keep a human in the loop just to ensure that data is correctly being populated. And if you need to clean any data up before you feed it to the models, you want to know how to do that. PII is huge. Obviously, you get protection with team account and enterprise accounts, but ultimately, you want to make sure you have redundancy in your clauses and your contracts and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. And maybe I'll leave this last section with you guys, which is, these dates are not entirely accurate. Do with them what you will, but basically, early on, what we just went through, like, first thing you want to do is set up your team account, roll it out to your team members, connect Gmail, connect Calendar, connect Google Drive, connect your QuickBooks, whatever tooling you use, you ideally want to connect to them, Notion. You want to set up daily briefs just to make sure that, if you have different Slack channels, that everyone's kind of working off the same information. Client intakes. So we talked about building skills, training the team. I do training. So if you guys are interested in getting some training for the team, more than happy to have a conversation around that. Obviously, you want to be able to measure how much time or how efficient your team is becoming. What I see a lot is people just roll out all these AI tools and no one ever goes through training. No one ever is like taught how to do certain things, the proper way to do certain things. And that's something that's really key, really important. I keep going back to this, but you want to be able to use the right tool for the right job. Next is building workflows. So you'll want to build those, run it for one client first, then expand to a couple. And then eventually, as you start seeing some of the edge cases, then you can expand it to all. Whatever workflows are important to you, just make sure that you ease into it. Proposals, we talked about, building a skill file that helps you with proposals. Last one, you want to do a review, at the end of 90 days or even at the end of the first couple months. You want to measure how many hours you've saved and what the ROI looks like. Hot point here, don't try to do a ton of workflows at once. Pick one or two, get them to a good place, get the team really comfortable with them, and then start moving on to the next one. If you have too many things going on at once, too many things trying to be automated or trying to automate too many things, it's just going to become a mess. That's my 90-day rollout plan. So do with that what you will. And then that's kind of the rollout. That's what I would do if I owned a CPA company. I had a lot of employees under me and I wanted to roll Claude to everyone out. That's how I would approach it. I do have like a free PDF companion. I'm happy to share that with you. Just drop a comment, email me, and I'll shoot that over to you. If you want to skip like the figuring out phase, again, I built this for a number of people, and I'm happy to set this up for you and walk you through some training, or manage your Claude if that's something that you want to offload. More than happy to have a conversation around that. Just go to watermelonsoup.io, or you can go to my YouTube channel. Yeah, you can reach out to me this way. There's a bunch of links here on ways to get a hold of me and to have a conversation. This is the easiest one. It'll find calendar slots where we can find some time. But yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg. Again, I share a bunch of these videos every single week. I'm going to continue doing that. The space, again, changes so rapidly from one month to another month. Today, Claude is, the premier model, the premier space, but it can change tomorrow. OpenAI has a lot of features as well. Copilot, although it has often lacked a lot of success that other models have, it's definitely improving. And if you want to stay within your Office 365 environment, it's not a bad choice. There's opportunities there, and I'm actually going to do a webinar on Copilot here shortly. And yeah, more than happy to have a conversation. Again, if any of these videos or if this video sparked your interest, let's chat. Thanks for your time, man. Look forward to keeping in touch with you guys.